Hi there, this is Lucinda. I'm knitting a cowl, or actually just finished knitting it, and I blocked it. Now I'm ready to join the two ends and do a little twist in it. I thought I would do a little video to make it easier. So one side was started with a provisional cast on. As you can see here, I left a couple of stitches left. And simply what you do is the first step is to unravel the provisional cast on and put it back on the needles. You will need, for this operation, you will need 2 needles. One set of needles for the finishing end and one set for the beginning end. Generally, when I do a provisional cast on, I prefer to use cotton, as I find it comes undone a little bit easier, but sometimes I just use whatever I can find and hope for the best when I'm gonna undo, but it's actually not too bad. So I'm just teasing a little bit here. So I'll just take out the rest of my provisional cast on and get going with all of these stitches. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to have the stitches lined up so that on one end we have the needles coming out of this side, and on the other side they're coming out of this other side. There's 2 ways to do this. On this particular cowl, I knit half a row so that I could get to this halfway spot, and they would be opposite the provisional cast on. Another way is to simply slip the stitches of the provisional cast on till you get to the halfway point, which is usually how I explain it. But there's really just 2 ways. As long as you get so that these 2 are opposite facing, then you're ready to start. So now that I have both sides on their needles, I'm ready to put a tapestry needle and thread it through. The one thing that I want to let you know is that you need 4 to 5 times the length of this to make sure you can do the whole grafting properly and without having to rejoin the yarn. I am a little crazy about that because I hate joining new yarn. So I go a little bit overboard and put extra yarn. Extra yarn is good. Too little amount of yarn is not good as well. So if you look at this, you have the needles facing one way and the needles facing the other way. So now all you need to do is turn the one that's closest to you this way so that they're both facing each other. What this does is it puts a beautiful twist to make it a Mobius cowl in your and now what I like to do is start the beginning of the Kitchener stitch. When we look at it, I see that I have my working yarn here in the back, and I'm going to start joining this end to this end. I won't go through all of the Kitchener with you, but the first thing that I'll do is show you the setup round. It's a little bit awkward because these needles are rather short. I tried to pull them out so that they don't get mixed up in everything. So remember that the Kitchener stitch, you could also do 3 needle bind off. It depends if you want to be able to show some texture or not. In this particular cowl, I want to have a smooth look. So the first stitch, I'm going to pull the yarn in the first one as if to purl. And when I tell you I put a lot of yarn, okay, this was probably an exaggeration. So I'll just stop the video so I can untangle this little mess. So on this front, I went through the first stitch as if to purl and left it on the needle. On this back stitch, I'm going to go as if to knit, and I'm going to pull my yarn all the way through. At the beginning, because you have a lot of yarn, it just takes a little patience to pull it all through. Now, once we have those 2 setup stitches, we're ready to get going. So the first stitch will be that I'll put it through knitwise, slip it off, and pull it through the second stitch as if to knit. So once again, you pull all and sometimes these back needles that are not in play get a little bit in the way, so we just have to be careful. And so that one got slipped off. Now the back needle we're going to go through the stitch as if to purl and leave the second stitch on, but we're going to go through it as if to knit. So you do that a couple of times and you start to get the Kitchener stitch down packed. I'll show you what that's going to look like in just a little bit. See, I've now done a few stitches, and what happens is you don't see any clear delineation. It looks like the stitches have just continued. In this case, I have the blue and I have the marled mutta. It doesn't matter because the seam will be really beautiful and it'll just look like you just started a new color. So now that here we've had a little bit of practice, the yarn is coming out of here, so that means we need to go to the back. So we go through the back as if to purl, then the second stitch as if to knit, and we pull all the yarn through. Like I said, it's better to have a little extra yarn than not enough. So you pull it, and one of the things you want to do is maintain a tension that's similar to what it was when you were knitting. So now we will go through this one as if to knit, and then we leave the second stitch on the needle, but we go as if to purl. You do this all the way around, and that's just it until it's totally closed. As you do a little bit more of the grafting, you'll notice it gets easier, especially as there's more room on the needles to spread out. So you just keep going until it's finished and you have a great Mobius cowl.